My name is Michelle Angelique. I live out here in San Luis Potosí, Mexico. I'm originally from San Diego, California. And I've been making natural product or skincare for the past 8 years, a little over 8 years. And 2 years ago, I moved out to California to work for a little bit, and I was supposed to come right back. Long story short, my skin started going like nuts, just nuts. And I called you, and then this is where I pretty much found out what was going on, because I couldn't get a reason for what was happening to me. Yeah, I couldn't get any.
I wonder why.
It was pretty intense, because at first I thought it was just I used to have impeccable skin, no makeup, no nothing, and I would just be able to wear my sunblock and my creams and be well. And then when I went back to San Diego in California, I started getting bumps, all like something wanted to come out of my skin. And I thought it was everybody's dogs. I was staying at different people's homes, kind of like couch surfing, because my intention was to come back home to Mexico. And everywhere I stayed, everybody had dogs. So I said, it has to be dogs. I got an allergic reaction to dog hair. January 2018, I ordered a modem. It was 5G. My face just started bleeding everywhere. I looked like a zombie. It was frightening. I couldn't figure out what was going on, and it was just tore all over the place. But I had spoken to you before. I think it was in May 2000. I don't have my years right here in front of me, but in between that time, I had spoken to you. I still got the 5G, not making the correlation. I didn't make the connection. I was still a newbie trying to figure out what was going on. And from there on, I just never been the same. I just been going through hard times.
Yeah, you're not okay. You're not going to ever be the same.
Yeah.
At this stage, this is everybody's wake-up call that's of any value. Number one. So what you're learning about this alien technology or synthetic technology or whatever you want to call it, synthetic biology, it was designed to make you aware that we're at war with something that's very malevolent toward mankind. They divided us, they separated us, they identified us as colors, races, whatever. As a result, we are now in the state of clusterfuck or chaos. Nanocarbon, it's 3 times harder than diamond. 100 times stronger than steel, but it needs initially to be bound with something in order for it to maintain its integrity. And when you pull it out, if you got a microscope, any kind of microscope, or from a 60x ocular to a 600 to 1000x magnification, and you squeeze something out and you put your finger under the scope, you're going to be surprised at how much debris will come out. You have pockets and pockets and pockets, one either beside, below, or around each other. So when you empty out a pocket, another one rises to the surface. And each one of them are saturated with networks of fibers, chips, crystals, dendrimers, bots,
I have images on my Instagram them. Where I collected them. I started just collecting them and put them together so you can get a good visual of what's actually coming out of the tissue. I have one on video where I cut it on video where I'd taken off one of these black spots that are metallic and they fade in and out of visibility, and I was able to catch it on video. I don't know if you saw that one.
Angle your lens. Don't put it directly on it, angle it. They've got stealth technology. Okay, let's say you pull out a section in your face or on your body somewhere. Mm-hmm. And you put a lens directly over, especially with a light, you'll only see maybe a speck of it. But when you angle it, say even at a 50-degree angle, what you'll see is the part that you saw is gone. But the back part is fully exposed. So like I said, it has light deflecting material. This is why we can't see this shit coming down from us on the sky.
Yeah, I was able to actually get those angles in the video. You were able to see it pop in and out of visibility on my finger just by moving the lens. So I do have that under Truth and Integrity Warrior there on YouTube. Okay. People can see what you're talking about, how you can actually see it, bend the light, where it's there and then it's not there.
That's stealth. That's the stealth technology it has.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this brand that I'm coming out is to wake up. I want to put in there that it's to work against these nanoparticulates, these responsive fibers, these responsive material.
You may not be able to do that, because I'll tell you do that, you're going to get shot right away.
No, I know. You mean shot like with a gun?
Not necessarily with a gun. I mean, that's possible too.
I come from the ghetto. So when you say that, I'm just like, wait a minute. I make some quick adjustments real quick. You mean put down, right? Put down.
Not necessarily put down. Okay.
Not be able to sell. I know what you're saying.
No, somebody will come at you and litigate you. You're making a claim.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you can say that it's going to help. It's a restorative. You could say that it can make skin healthy.
Yeah, I'm piggybacking off of what's already out in London. They got, nano-particulate detoxifying makeup. And so I'm just piggybacking on what's already out in the industry. I'm using pretty words like it will make you more beautiful, but I'm trying to knock this out. I know that people are just going to have to read between the lines.
Initially, tone it down a bit so you get enough of an economy going.
Okay.
Well, then you can start slowly but surely. What you can do is you can type in a little card and say this has been used for people who have been afflicted with nanopoisoning, and it has helped them restore, or has helped them heal, or it helps in healing, or it helps in restore.
Well, restore, repair. I can't say healing in the U.S., but I can say repair or rejuvenate. Rejuvenate.
Or it's restoring, or you can say it's healing. Can't say it's healed, but you can say it's healing.
You know, this mind, this state of mind that's out there that we can't put our fingers on, we can't grab it by the balls and say, we're gonna knock you the fuck out, step out of our, our way of living as far as the species, and get the fuck out of here. We can't do that because it's been set up so that it's an entity, and the corporation is that entity, and it's in everything, and we can't define where to stop this shit, and it's happening. It's so well done. It's so well done. And the only way, and I say well done, meaning that we can't seem to see where it's coming from, and we're being bombarded from all spots inside. Doesn't matter if it's education, medicine. I know I'm preaching to the choir. I don't have to break this down to you. But when we start recognizing that everything is a contradiction of itself, and we can catch contradiction, we're going to be able to nip shit in the bud. It's either you fix your shit up right now, you straighten up, or you want to contradict, you want to cause something against our species or against the well-being of the species. And that's why I say this is a species against species situation that nobody wants to talk about, because then they're looked on, they're worried about ridicule, ridicule, criticism, and I'm not worried about that stuff. I'm very good at seeing my own shit, looking at it, recognizing it, facing it. Got a lot of balls to face that. And I don't want to say transcend, but you change. Your perspective changes. And so when people start complaining or arguing and coming at you, it doesn't affect the person anymore, because you took out that thorn that we got inside that we're supposed to be looking at and observing for ourselves. And so I'm ready for that. I'm so ready for that. I'm so ready to talk about this and start getting this out, doing what you're doing, figuring out how to get some talk radio show. So Pedro and I have been talking, and he's coming from another state. We're going to do like 4 videos a month, put one up a week. And I want to do this in Spanish and in English, and then just start driving home with this breaking contradiction within oneself, because when we cut through our own bullshit, we don't accept anybody else's bullshit, and then we can see who's trying to do what to the species, and we start looking at ourselves like a species. So in the military, in the government, in any positions that we have, and we see the intent on doing ill will to the species, then we start reflecting and looking at things different. But we can't do that till we can break down our own bullshit, and that's really what's going on.
Well, the thing is, it's not necessarily bullshit. It can be. It's programming. You got to really look at this.
The programming, the bullshit that gets built up. Absolutely, it's all programming. I mean, I can see it in the cartoons. And when I break it down to people, you got that cartoon with that monkey and the guy with some yellow hat, and it's just one of many examples. Just one of many. But we are taught to reverse everything. Everything gets reversed on us, so that when we see ill will pretending to be good, and we'll take it because we've been programmed to accept this as kids. And so when the monkey says, you behave, little monkey, you know, and all he's doing is going and having fun, and he's smelling flowers, and he wants to play with the balloon, and he wants to do some somersaults, and he happened to make a little mess, but he's a bad monkey. But to be a good monkey, he has to be bored. He has to be with nothing to do. He got to be sad. So that's a contradiction, and we accept that. So the bad guy is a good guy, and the good guy is a bad guy, and the good is weak, and the strong is bad, and it's all fucked up, and it's all wrong. And we got to start straightening that shit out. And we can't do that until we start getting real direct about facing our own worries, our own fears, the things that we don't want to talk about. And that's really what I want to make a show about, so that people can start breaking those things down within themselves. And I'm just going to use all the bullshit I had to break down within myself as an example, because I can't point the finger at here or over there, or is this guy or is that guy. No, it's right here. And let me show you what I had to do to what I did seeing this. I mean, that shit made me, a lot of us have a hard life, right? I know, I get it. And it's not to compare and see whose is worse. It's fucking rough out here in the world in general, and for many. But when where do I want to go with this? When we take all of those experiences that we have and we analyze them, we can't, because we just, what is it? We're good people. We're doing the right thing, right? We don't feel that there's anything we got to fix. But as soon as somebody says something that hits a button and you want to kick the shit out of that person, hurt that person, you're mad at that person, and you don't know why, it's because it's something in the interior that we got to fix. And that's how we find that if we are contradicting with what we think, what we feel, and what we say, they don't match. That's how we can catch that there's something we got to fix right here. We got to fix it right here so that we can fix what's going on in our world out here. So it's that internal organization with what I want to help people with. But we can't get that far if our bodies are broken down. And that's where you come in and helping to repair, fix, and get this body strong, get this mind strong, get all this operation and a physical level working, so that these chemical processes in our mind can start working the way they're supposed to, so that psychologically, physically, mentally, emotionally, we're ready to go. And that's my focus. And I just happen to make skincare to fix all this, because it was tough. I want to say this, and not because I'm looking at it from a vanity point, right? There's nothing vain about my perspective of how I want to get this message across, but I do understand what people follow. Like you said, if it's too big to handle over here and nobody's listening, they will listen if you say, hey, are you a man and you got big titties and you don't want them and you don't understand why you're growing breasts? Well, let me tell you about this. Boom. And then people start doing and start repairing. Women, their distorted bodies. You don't want to do this over here, but watch. This over here is going to help you strengthen, rebuild, and it will take care of the other simultaneously. This is my perspective. This is how I'm going at it. And it's not about, does anybody listen to me? Does anybody care? I could care less. I got to get this information out, and it will fall right where it needs to. And it will be from, that's why I make, I got these, my skincare line. Bringing it from a perspective of a vanity point to help repair, but this message is much deeper. And people are afraid to talk about that bigger perspective because they're afraid of ridicule and criticism. I call my brand Snafu Free, a brand that takes a stand to make a difference. I'm coming all out. I'm coming all out with no fear. And to pave the way so that other people can start talking and not being worried about ridicule. So I take pictures of my face with no makeup, show my scars. We got to stop being afraid to be embarrassed. And we stop becoming embarrassed, and we stop having these things work against us once we face ourselves and start accepting ourselves. Start giving a shit about ourselves so that we can give a shit about others. And we've been trained to do the opposite.
AI is running the whole system, and nobody can control AI. Nobody. The military cut that thing loose 9 years ago, gave it its capacity to upgrade its own program. The thing operates at 50 million computations per quantisecond. Nobody thinks that fast. The best a human being can, or a man or woman can think, is 420,000 computations per nanosecond. We're not even moving. We're like standing still. This is running at warp speed.
Understood. That is that state of mind that's working against the species, and it's a part of a bigger picture. It's not a one species against our species. It's a state of mind that works with the group, and that AI is part of that artificial intelligence. They give it the name artificial so that we sit back and not worried about it. It's a real fucking intelligence doing a real thing and breaking our shit down. I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
When the military, now, when you hear the Israelis talking about how they're controlling AI, they're full of shit. And when you hear the Russians say who controls AI, who controls the world.
Well, they say that to bring our guard down. They say that to make sure that we're not worried about it and that we think it is something artificial or something that can be controlled. It's another species. It's a state of mind. It's a way of thinking, and it lives and feeds, off of what we are. We're bioelectric. We're walking batteries. We're 700,000. What is it? 700 trillion volts per human body, and we don't even know what we're made of. We don't even know the importance we are to something else and the importance we should be to ourselves. Again, that's some of the stuff I want to start sharing with people. See, what are we? How important are we to ourselves? Now we got this bombardment on our TV and our radio and everywhere, and people hate people and people suck, and that's been implanted, that's been projected so that we don't have any love, care, respect for ourselves, so that we don't rise up, come up, and start getting strong and having something to fight for. I understand it. I see it super clearly.
Because Israel was talking about attacking Iran as well, but he saw that the United States was not going in there, so now they're waiting. As soon as that election is called, Israel is going to suck America, Canada, United Kingdom, Australia, and New Zealand, the Commonwealth, into a fucking war in Iran, which they cannot win. If they win it, it will be the end of the military-industrial complex that the United States has. Once that happens, Russia will be next.
When we look at that play right there, since all these motherfuckers work together, pretending to be on separate sides, they end up taking our people of this world. They sacrifice the people of this world. That's their end game, because they take from that soul life force. They take from that. And so the game is all played on us, because we're going to go out there and fight something that has no... These motherfuckers are playing a whole different game, and they got us pitted, hating one another and killing each other off while they're sucking the life force out of the people.
Well, think about this. What has Iran ever done to America? Nothing. What has Iran ever done to Canada? Nothing. What has Iran ever done to the United Kingdom? Nothing. What has it done to Australia?
It has not followed the system the way it played all the other countries.
Well, it's not part of the IMF.
This is what I'm trying to say. It's a country that has said, no, I'm not going to play your game, and I'm not going to mess with anybody's people anywhere. Don't mess with us. And so now, this is what I'm talking about, the big picture, stepping outside in the big scope on looking at what are they doing to the life force of the individual, that individual being that's going to go out there and get slaughtered. They take that energy and they use it for something else. This other species, this other mind. I call it mind because we have a hard time. I don't want people to think people walking around with a big old green head and giant black eyes. I'm talking about there's this state of mind that's working against us, and we got to fucking see the play. We got to see the play. It's like getting deep into the playbook, because we're not going to win with the physical war out here. The revolution got to go from the inside out. And I really think that's the only thing that we have with fixing the body, strengthening the body, getting that mind to work right, getting the intestines to work right, to send the right chemical reactions to the brain so the body can think right, do right. I lost connection from my brain to my hands in a fight in Mandalay Bay when I had a really shitty boxing career. I used to be a professional fighter when female fighters were coming up in 1999 in that time. And my coach took me out there at Mandalay Bay. I had a connection where my brain could not tell the rest of my body to move. I went into like a not frozen state of fear, because I had already been known as not giving a fuck and being able to get hit like crazy and not stop like a train. I could take a lot. That's one thing I did learn from boxing, that I could take a fucking beating and keep on going. If I learned anything about myself in that. Well, I wasn't able to, I was telling my hands to move and I couldn't move. I was telling my legs to move and they were not reacting. That's the first time I didn't know nothing about proteins, enzymes, cells. I didn't know anything about diet. I didn't know anything about anything that was going on in the internal workings of the body. And so when I couldn't, it's the second round, the first round I'm out there, putting that out there. And then by the second round, it was a lot of work just to get my brain to tell my arm to move. And then it got real scary because I felt like I was just going to fall over. Kind of like the Tin Man on The Wizard of Oz. There was no movement going on, and I know there was no fear. So I had no explanation for that. I lost that fight because I wasn't responding. It's the only fight that I didn't respond to. And like I said, I've had my ass beat handed to me by number one ranking in the world. And I still went through a 6-round fight on only my 3rd fight ever. And the reason I say that is I can take a beating and not fall. But this one, I could not get my brain to get the rest of my body to work. And because of that, I wanted to know, how does the body work? And I've never, ever, ever stopped on that mission since that fight. I wanted to understand what is causing this disconnection. I was told by somebody in the military, I got a different coach later on down the road, and he says, oh yeah, if you don't, they give the soldiers a salt tablet, because if they between high stress and dehydration, anybody who's in the battlefield and they're dehydrated, they can't get the mind, to make the connection with the rest of the body because they're missing the electrolyte, right? And so I was like, electrolyte? What's electric have to do anything with the body? And here I am today. I understand the body, how it works, how we're being played against because we don't know how our body works and how we work in this field.
When you start approaching what you're doing and doing it the way you're going to do it, however it may be, in whatever style or form you're doing. There's a biblical reference, he who departs from evil makes himself a prey, and that's exactly what will happen. You become targeted by this program. And it will come at you now. When you recognize it, because at first you won't. First you'll be sucked into it, you'll be watching it like you're watching television. And after a while you'll think, wait a minute, these are not my thoughts. Or where did this come from? Or maybe they are your thoughts, but where did this come from? That's what's pushing you to say. As soon as you say that, even if it's verbally or even to yourself, it will stop like that.
That's my point about breaking contradictions. We got to know ourselves so that when something outside of ourselves comes in, and we can't be played on our old emotions because we've overcome them, we've faced them and dealt with them and processed them, let them go, removed them. I'm only saying this because I've lived this, and I know exactly what you're talking about. When a thought comes in, you're like, wait, that shit ain't mine. Where the fuck is that coming from? And I've been going through this since before I even knew any of this stuff was going on. And it was, like I said, I've had some experiences where I seen something inside of somebody else, and it ain't human. It ain't fucking human. And this is way before any of this tech aspect of AI ever came in. And so I got a long history, I guess you'd say my life. I have been on this direction to understand how we operate, how to understand how to strengthen, and how to separate this, what you're talking about, exactly what you're talking about, me from something else, so that I don't get played and I don't play against my brother or my mother or my neighbor, because that's what we're being played against one another, to break down one another. Species lies in the state of the mind, and it plays in the minds of men. I've seen some shit that I haven't expressed yet, because this is actually my premiere, I guess you'd say, of speaking with another human being, and gonna post it online about this stuff. But we as a species we're not here by ourselves, and there's something that's playing the minds of men and women, and it sits literally like a seat in the bodies of men and women. And I've seen it personally. I've seen it with somebody else, and I say it with conviction. I have no doubt about it, and I haven't heard it from secondhand. And so my mission is very clear, and I'm very focused and very determined to make sure that we understand that this is playing the minds of men, and we got to clear it up. And we find it in contradiction. The part for people to understand is that there's a mask, there's a facade hiding behind something that's perpetuating to be good, and people want to follow good. I totally understand that. You know, people in their good nature literally want to do something that's right and they want to follow good. But if evil just came out and said, because this is a battle between good and evil, when we reduce everything that we're talking about, is about good and evil, and we got to define the line on where we stand. We got to know where we stand, and we got to do it without contradiction. And the only way we're going to do it is by breaking our own contradiction down so that we can see what's going on out here. Because, like you said, the majority is not going to make it. And I get it. I totally get it. But I'm not worried about the majority. It's those who are ready to define where they stand and start getting organized within, because this is where the breakdown's happening. It's coming out from a within point that we got to get out so that we can navigate through this very, very tough situation. It's a big trap in a system that we cannot see because it's so big. And that's why the freeing of the outside doesn't work. It's the freeing of the right here, this coordination of how this body, this bioelectric being that we are, and the potential and the power that it has is what we don't know, and is being used, and we're being used against one another. And so we can't fix the big problem on the outside because it's so fucking massive, but we can fix the world within the inside for our world, like a little pixel on a TV screen. We just adjust that one little pixel. That's be that person's family, that person's home, that person as an individual, right? And their world starts to change. Their personal world starts to change, starts to get stronger, brighter, more understanding, no matter, regardless of all the shit that's going around on the outside. I'm a perfect fucking example to say how you can be broken down like a fucking potato sack, look like a zombie, ready to be homeless. You can turn shit around, and I still don't have any money. But my mind has changed. How I feel has changed. You know, my body has changed with my awareness. And so that information from the inside out, we can't change the big picture as an individual, but we can fix that little pixel right here. And when people take that responsibility for themselves, not because anybody else told them, it's because they just have fucking had enough and they just want to know how to do it. We get that internal organization starting to happen. Our world around us starts changing, and this is a frequency fucking game. At the end of this whole thing, we haven't talked about it, but this is a frequency game, and it's being played against us because we don't know how we work. We don't know how we, this biological being from the almighty living life force, works, and it's being sucked dry from us. We got to get the word artificial away from this understanding of what this mind is. And when we start doing that, I think we're going to start looking at things from a different approach. And I'm not talking about the Joe Blow on the corner, you know, just trying to get by day to day. I'm talking about people who make decisions, very big decisions, and can't see, you know, they're fogged. They can't see that the choices that they're going to make are going to cause an effect, a big, huge ripple effect. And so I really think that what we're talking about, creating these discussions, cutting a path of information so that people can observe what they're feeling but can't communicate it with nobody. Who's going to have these conversations with somebody else in a professional field, you know, in the military, in the government, who want to talk about this kind of stuff, but they'll be looked at as crazy. Oh shit, life is crazy, and I don't have a position to lose, you know. I don't have a position to lose. I've lived crazy. It sounds like you have too, sir. So it's just like, just shake that off. But people in really serious positions want to make some, they seeing things, they know things are going on, but they don't have an outlet to talk to. So when they are hearing this kind of communication between you and I and other people who communicate like this, I think it cuts away in a path to get perspective, to make better choices and decisions for the rest of us.
If they listen.
That's where hope and faith comes in, sir. Hope and faith.